3 billion bird study is named after the number of birds we've lost in North America since 1970. On this episode of EcoSense, why bird populations are in decline and how can we change it? A recent study revealed that we have about 3 billion less birds than we did 50 years ago. The question is, what's happening to these birds and what can we do about it?
Life for a bird is hard. There are a lot of things out there that want to do you in, right? There are hawks, there are falcons, there are mammals that may want to eat you as well. Then you think about migration, you think about birds that are traveling thousands and thousands of miles, and it's an incredible effort that these birds undertake. And we, as humans, sharing the same spaces with them, we don't make it any easier on them. We actually make it a lot tougher for these birds, and we do that in many different ways. We're building up these big, sprawling cities, and there are a lot of office buildings and a lot of lights that are on at nighttime, and nighttime just so happens to be when the bulk of these birds are migrating. So it can be very disorienting for a bird who's trying to navigate to fly through a city with a whole bunch of lights on. So light pollution is a really big thing. When they do land and search for food during the daytime, if they're in someone's backyard, they may have to contend with a cat. So I am one of the most vocal voices on the keep your cats indoors front. In my opinion, it is non-negotiable. Cats are better off indoors. They are safer there, and there are a lot of different ways that we can keep them entertained and healthy indoors. You have window collisions, you have habitat loss, you have so many things that these birds are contending with. I've only been birding for 7 years. There are some who've been birding for 30 or 40 years, and they tell me there's a lot less birds these days than there used to be. We need these birds. We need these birds to continue to control insects, to continue to control rodents, to continue to pollinate and spread seeds around, and to continue to make us happy when they grace us with their presence for a second or two. So no matter where you are, you're not disconnected. There are birds nearby.
Huge areas of the South Carolina coast are protected, and many of these ecosystems were saved by ducks.
Duck hunting has its deep roots in family tradition.
When I was probably 5 years old, my family had some property outside of Charleston, and I grew up in an army green sleeping bag in the bottom of a duck blind with my dad and my grandfather. I'm a second-generation conservationist, and I always knew that I wanted to work in conservation and protect land. I work with public and private partners to pool together funds to restore wetlands. And the sole purpose of that not only is to benefit waterfowl species, to benefit all migratory bird species.
The biggest threat that ducks are facing right now, of course, is habitat loss. So we're also seeing that as the sea level rises, and that's taking away marsh that those birds have been coming to for dozens of years, and that marshland's gone. They're going to back up and go to other areas.
We're standing at the main house site at Kinlaw Plantation, which is comprised of 13 original plantations from the colonial period. And the property, its purpose at this point is to manage wildlife responsibly and productively, but that's not always the way it was. The land was granted by the king to Thomas Lynch I in 1718, and the value of the property was its potential for agriculture. And the property consisted of great cypress swamps, virgin cypress that had never been cut. And you're talking about cypress trees that were 8 or 10 feet in diameter. The land was a place where you could grow rice, And so what he proceeded to do was to take down all the cypress timber and mill it into lumber.
Enslaved people toiled in intense heat, shoveling out canals by hand. The watery rice fields became breeding grounds for mosquitoes, creating human misery but thriving conditions for growing rice.